The Georgia Bulldogs will open camp tomorrow and end on April 12th. The big question for Georgia this year is, can they find some offensive balance and some consistency amongst the wide receivers? Last year, a lot of people will remember back to last year and they'll think about Georgia through the lens of, well, they won the SEC. They made it to the college football playoff. Yes, they lost to Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl, but that was a successful season. It was. Because I think when you look at what their roster looked like to get to that point with the inconsistencies that they had last year was pretty remarkable. I thought Kirby Smart did a really good job coaching them last year. The offensive line was a mess. The wide receivers dropped more passes than anybody in the country, and their quarterback for a 2 to 3 game period turned the ball over like crazy. Not to mention the defense at times had some struggles as well. This is a team that almost lost to Kentucky, a team that almost lost to Georgia Tech, a team that was, the game against Auburn was much closer than you probably want to remember. They almost had a win against Bama, but it was ugly there in the first half. It was a very, very difficult team to watch. When you're expecting a certain level of performance from Georgia and all you get are roller coasters, it's a little bit troubling. Okay. The offensive production last year slipped drastically. They scored 31 points a game. But if you look back at the year prior, they were over 40 points a game in 2023. They were terrible when it comes to running the football. That was one of the biggest issues. Now, a lot of things went into that. Tate Ratledge got banged up early in the season. The offensive line struggled from a continuity standpoint. The left tackle was banged up most of the year. And you were without Trevor Etienne with a rib injury for quite some time as well. Then the guy that you were putting in for Trevor Etienne, Nate Frazier, was a little loose with the football from time to time. Crazy explosive, crazy dynamic, but he would at times put the ball on the deck. He did it in practice. He also did it in the game. So they're going to have to figure out a way to create a little bit more balance. And Gunnar Stockton, likely as the starting quarterback, his ability to run the ball at the quarterback spot should only improve that balance offensively. They do have to find a lot of answers along the front, along the offensive line. You have 4 new starting offensive linemen, several of which are highly touted, so it should be a really good group. Last year, they were expected to be really good, but it really wasn't very good whatsoever. So you got to figure out how to replace the center, Jared Wilson. You got to replace Tate Ratledge, who was gone for quite some time. You got to replace Monroe Freeling at right tackle, and who played a little left tackle as well. And then Ernest Green, who was not great to begin with, but was hurt most of last year. I do think they have some quality pieces that are poised to step in, but it'll be very, very tough. And it really won't matter, especially if their wide receivers can't catch the ball. They led the Power 4, like I said earlier, in drops. Arian Smith, Dominic Lovett, they're both gone. They did bring in some high-profile transfers in Noah Thomas from Texas A&M and Zachariah Branch, who's tremendously athletic and crazy explosive from USC. They also have a couple of hot-shot freshmen as well in Talon Taylor and CJ Wiley, who might find their way onto the field a little bit earlier as well. So I think figuring out the receiver core is of the utmost importance, but more specifically figuring out a way to create balance and create continuity along the offensive line are of equal importance as well.